good evening here from York in the UK. It's great to be with you. I'm going to talk about Hex-TRAK, but in order to get to Hex-TRAK, I'm just going to talk a little bit about me and my business and how we got to Hex-TRAK. And I think it's all relevant to get us into the right place. So yeah, my name's Ian. I've loved all trains since I was in the womb. My mum tells a story about how I would kick when I'd hear the steam whistles from a nearby heritage railway where we were living back then. But for years, there wasn't enough trains in my life. But then I was approaching my 40th birthday and stuff was happening. But I got out of my old IT job and I bought a business called Train Tracks. So this is the point where I try and share the right screen with you. And yeah, here we go. So Train Tracks is the UK's go-to supplier of Kato equipment. Nowhere else here in the UK specialises in it like we do. And I think I recognise some customer names amongst the list of people that are here. So that's fantastic. So that was getting on for 3 years ago. I took on Train Tracks. Something I've never admitted in public before is that I knew next to nothing about Kato trains or NTRAK at that point. So I had a really steep learning curve, learning about NTRAK, learning about Kato trains. So the way I did that was I absolutely immersed myself in it. I got hands-on, I built stuff. I read everything there is on the internet about NTRAK. So you probably expect if I'm reading all that stuff, I'm going to come across T-TRAK. And I thought, yeah, T-TRAK, that looks interesting, really interesting. And it uses NTRAK, and that's great. I could tell people some more NTRAK. I kind of lodged it in my brain, but didn't do much more about it. So the previous owner of Train Tracks just mentioned offhand to me that I should join the local Engage Society. So I guess the Engage Society is a kind of equivalent of NRail here in the UK, national network, local area groups. And he said, yeah, the Engage Society are good people. So I looked them up and I found that my local group, they met only 10 minutes walk away from my house. So I couldn't not go. So I went along. And when I got there, they were just beginning a new project. They were one of the first groups in the UK to adopt T-TRAK. I thought, okay, this is interesting. So they had some designs for laser cut modules made from high quality plywood. And this is one of how they started really. Just before I was there, they'd got a loop of track that I'm sure many of you recognize as early T-TRAK. And they were one of the first groups doing this in the UK, but there was lots of interest from elsewhere here. And people could see they've got these designs. So the group was looking for somebody to distribute the kits based on this. So a few months later, I launched them as a product as part of Train Tracks. And I've now lost count of the number that I built up for myself or other club members. These module kits really positively received, lots of interest. We've sent them all over the world, in fact, over the last two years or so. But a few niggles did come up from people. It's quite an expensive thing to put together if you're using laser cut quality materials. Some people, they think, oh, it's a lot of straight lines on T-TRAK modules. This is not how the railways work in the UK. They're rarely able to go in straight lines like you might have over stateside. And they're also quite complex to put together, especially when we start asking questions about how the wiring should be or shouldn't be. And some of you will know about Kato's mini diorama series. They solve the problem of everything being in a straight line. They solve the complexity problems, but they're very compromised on space, aren't they? And we don't talk about the price of those for a while. Anyway, the Yorkshire Area Group really took T-TRAK and run with it. Earlier today, we had our Christmas meeting And so in the 2 years since from that thing, we went up to this. So earlier today, we had equivalent of 112 single modules going no, not 4 junctions, it's 4 loops there, 5 junction pieces, 3 DC tracks and 1 DCC track. So it's come a long way in just 2 years in the Yorkshire area group. So my business has also come a long way in that time, not just selling T-TRAK, but selling NTRAK, selling Kato trains, really supporting community, and it's just blown me away with how much support people have given back. I found I needed some help to run the business, and I was lucky enough to recruit a guy called Jonathan. Jonathan is a fantastic modeler in his own self. He's a really nice guy. And alongside working with me, he runs his own business, and he designs kits for model buildings. And that's in a number of different scales, really high quality stuff. There's a slightly fuzzy picture of him that I've grabbed from one of our videos. His business is called JS Models. So I like to think that the business I run is trying new things all the time, experimenting, trying to find new ways forward. So I was very happy for Jonathan to start doing some experiments with track geometry of different kinds, because we often get loads of questions about what is possible with NTRAK. What radius do I need for this? What will run with that? And all that sort of stuff. So he was experimenting a lot to see what was possible, so he could learn it, so I could learn it, so we could help our customers. As part of that experimentation, he started thinking about 60-degree angles. And he showed me some prototype Hex-TRAK modules in the late spring of this year. And I said, yeah, let's go with this, see what we could do. So now would be a good time for me to start talking about Hex-TRAK and what it is, I think. Let's get the simple photos here. Hex-TRAK is it's an at-home sized modular railroad system. It's based on a standard sized hexagon, and that standard size is 248 millimeters across from flat side to flat side. Those of you who use NTRAK might recognize that number because it matches exactly the longer straights that you can get. Because of the geometry, it also matches the 216 millimeter radius curve. You can put 60 degrees of curve across those sides there to make a curve module. So from an incredibly simple bit of geometry, you have an immense amount of layout possibilities. Only that one size module, you can get vast amount of track configurations, and it's suitable for novices as well as seasoned modelers, we think. But mainly, it's intended to be fun. It's intended to be fun, simple, it's affordable, and is pretty compact. I think I've got some more photos. No, I haven't. Right. So important to note at this point, it is such a great idea that the idea happened in 2 separate places for 2 separate people at the same time. About the same time as we were looking at this, Justin from the Tabletop Railroad YouTube channel, he had the same ideas and he published in May this year. And we saw it and we thought, hang on, we're doing the same thing here. This is great. Many of you will probably have seen these videos on YouTube already. If not, go and watch them. They're a fantastic introduction in themselves. Justin, he explains in those videos, he's identified some of those same constraints about T-TRAK. Bit complex, takes up a bit too much space, and he just wanted to keep it simpler. Interestingly, he's also he's modeling in different scales. So whilst we were looking totally at the 1:160 size N-gauge, he's looking at larger scales on N-gauge track. So I think it's SN2 that he's using. Anyway, we reached out. Jonathan had some great chats with Justin, sharing ideas and developing the idea a bit up to a multiple height system. So not just those simple modules that I've showed you already, but also with bridges, with tunnels, and that's where I got really excited. It just makes it much more fun for me. That's the kind of modeling I was looking at. So we continued to prototype, we experimented, got all sorts going on in our a sample layout, if you like, and we refined the dimensions a bit. We shrunk it down so we can get a good connection, and we've tried the different heights to see what clearances we need for that all-important second layer. So there's some pictures up the top of what happens with the second layer. We found that actually Kato have done the work for us. So if we use the same height as the Kato piers, we get good clearance for most of the stuff that we were using. So we also looked at some of the geometry of how we could make it compact. So it fits on standard sizes of tables. So we got to those half hexes, and the picture I didn't include there was to include an edge hex, which just chops off the tops and bottom points to get that. So that's the very basic of what Hex-TRAK is. We developed it over the summer and we launched a small range on our website. We hadn't heard from Justin for a little while. We did hold off until we'd got his okay to go ahead as a commercial range here in the UK. And we sent some samples to him and to some other people. So we launched it in August and we almost immediately sold out the kits that we'd made. We had lots of interest in a YouTube video that we made that introduced the concept. And we also took it to a couple of shows to show what's going on there. So here's our layout. I hope you can see this quick video of a sample layout there. We left some hexes uncovered, and this just shows that we were at a show. It was great fun. This was the International Engage show here in the UK, in Leamington. So yeah, we had our little layout there. There's more of that online. Okay, what? Oh, let's show that again because it was so short. Yeah. Okay. We wanted to launch this with a bit of a community element. So we started a Facebook group just to share ideas, see how people were getting on with the concept. It's called the Hex-TRAK Hive. It's a public group. Anybody can come and join that. And very quickly, we found other folk were coming in with ideas about how to fit double or even triple tack and points onto the hexes. We just had those straights and curves to begin with. Other people came up with this concept of getting more onto a hex and making it a little more complicated. And I must admit, I was a bit resistant at first about making it too complicated, but I can see the advantages now that we've got a bit further down the line. Terry Moore, who's here today, came up with an amazing document which shows many of those possibilities for extending Hex-TRAK. That's just one page from his document that shows some of the things that you can put onto your hexes in terms of the track. And can you imagine the possibilities of combining those things together to make amazing layouts different every time? So our Facebook group was always intended to be an international group. It's never going to be a huge thing, so let's keep everybody together in an international thing. But somebody else, I don't know whether he's here tonight, he said he might be. He decided to open an American group. So there's a Hex-TRAK USA group out there as well. So with things going on both sides of the Atlantic, some manufacturers are producing module kits over there as well, which is fantastic because the cost of shipping them from here to the US is quite a lot. They're made out of a heavy MDF. So we're very pleased that somebody over there is manufacturing them. But if more than one set of people is manufacturing, we need standards. So we need a public specification and standard. And I'm really pleased that the NRail has agreed to bring that standard together and publish it in good time when it's ready. As a third party, that different manufacturers can then manufacture these things. Although, of course, you can make your own if you have the facilities to do so. Just a couple of things to finish with. What happens next? Well, there's still possibilities to explore. You'll see a picture there of I've been experimenting with joining onto a T-TRAK module. So the upper level of the Hex-TRAK is pretty much within the T-TRAK spec as we're dealing with it at the moment. So we can do a balloon loop with Hex-TRAK. Clearly that compromises the minimum radius that you're going to be running on your T-TRAK combined layout, but it's still fun. So we're playing with that. In the middle there, you've got one of Jonathan's experiments about a compact helix to get from a bottom layout to a top layout. And then we're also developing a planning tool, mini hexes. These are really cute little tiny hexes for planning your layouts. So they're coming up as well. And maybe sometime we'll start looking at doing a layout in a box. So this is a very kind of saleable thing. We could do a compact train, some hexes, some track, and some scenic stuff to get newcomers to the hobby into that. So that's something we're looking at as well.